Well, comment ça va? Straight razor shavers. This is Eric. This is my channel, Cajun Blade. And today we got this beautiful Fili 14 that has been sent to me by one of the viewers to do a little frown correction. And here you go. You can see in the video what we're starting with. So here I'm gonna mark my bevel on both sides so I can see my work. I have applied 3 layers of tape to the spine, knowing that I'm gonna do this work on the 400 Atoma and my 400 Naniwa Arata. So my first work here on the Atoma will be with the spine off of the plate. What I'm trying to accomplish here is isolate and get as much steel as I can off the heel without removing and blending, I should say, to the toe, and without taking as much off the metal as I can, and try to save as much steel. That's always my goal in a situation of a frown. So some of this video will be sped through. I'm over voicing it because I had to edit so much to reduce the time through this bevel set and correction. So I hope you enjoy. So one thing I always try to point out when I'm at this stage and make it a conscious effort is to try to work with minimum pressure when I'm on a diamond plate, and especially on a razor as thin as a Fili. You could feel it flex. The last thing you'd want to do in this situation is come off the stone, put some torque, and crack the razor. So that's something to be conscious of. You can see the angle I use, and that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to come off the stone. Very deliberate in where I'm putting my pressure and how I'm applying it. The goal is slow and steady and minimal steel removal. So we can always move up in grit and then finish it correcting here. At this point, I've swapped to my Arata 400. I feel better correcting on it than I do the diamond plate, and it's, that's not a wrong or right thing or arguing thing. That's just how I feel. That's where I'm more comfortable at, and I'll do my final work here. When it pertains to the actual aggressive correcting on the 400, I will go to the 1000 next, and at that point, of course, you're still correcting, but I'm more concentrating on bevel development as I move on to 1000. We're just going to go ahead and fast forward through the final stages of this as we transition here to the 1000. At this point, I did leave out the looping and the inspection and the lapping and then the slurrying, and just move straight to the business. I use my normal bevel setting regiment that I use, which is half strokes and circles. Depending on how much work I do early on is how many half strokes I start with. Now to do in a regressing stage. In this stage, I think I went 30 laps each way, 18, 15, 8, and then 4, and then I move on to a series of circles, which I think in this case I did 30 each way, and then half strokes till it feels right. And as we wrap up here on the 1K, I move to rolling X strokes. I really like this stone, this Naniwa Pro Josera 1K. It's my favorite aggressive bevel setter, I should say. If I'm gonna have a razor that requires more than 3K, I usually start with my 1K and then bridge to 2K to 3K. It's worth mentioning here as well that as you see, I started with 3 layers of tape on the Atoma and onto the 400. Before I started with the 1K, I did go down to 1 layer of tape, which I will finish to hone it out with. To make it easy on you, I'm gonna go ahead and speed up through the finishing of the 1K work, and then transition to the sharpness test. We're about out of fresh tomatoes here, but I did have enough to pick to do a little edge check for Martin. You see here, I'm gonna try to push test in the tomato, and it works. So I know I got a good bevel. I will do a cut test here, and then the ultimate test, I'll do some hair testing. Moving on. So now we got my Arata 2K out. I will go through a similar set of bevel work here, starting with 20, then 18, 15, 10, 5 circles. Still on one layer of tape. I chose to put the 2K here between the 1 and the 3 for the simple reason that I was doing correction work on a 400, and I wanted, no doubt, as I transition to my 5, I don't want to have any rogue striation or anything coming back to haunt me. I do inspect, but I found as you brighten up, sometimes you can see where you've left behind. So, and when I'm correcting a razor for somebody or myself, I will add the extra steps. I have the stone, why not do it? A little extra time, and in my opinion, it's well worth it. Again, to cause you less pain, I'm gonna go ahead and speed through the last of the 2K work. And as always, we're gonna finish up on some good clear water half strokes. Always a good practice before you move on, kill the edge, or whatever you do between stones. As we finish up with the 2K, my next stone in the sequence is the 3K as mentioned, and is also an Arata. Alright, we wrap up here with the 2K, kill the edge, and move over to my Arata 3K, which is my favorite stone in my synthetic arsenal, hands down. It's a very enjoyable stone to hone on, does a heck of a job of bevel setting on a razor that doesn't need major correction, and has a fairly good polish to it. I mean, normally my progression is 3K, 5K, 10K. If I go to some kind of hard finish or conical or JNAT, it'll be 3K onto the natural stone. Really like this stone. Couldn't recommend it enough. Here we're going to start with the reduced, I guess you could call it my routine I normally do on bevel set. I think I went 20, 15, 5 maybe, and then a few circles, and then on to rolling X strokes. Here, as we move to finishing up the last of the circles, rinse my stone and move into my rolling X strokes. At this point forward, you know, after I leave 3K, 5, 10, or where I move on to my natural stones, I'm pretty much done with any kind of circles. I may use some, and I do use some half strokes to isolate parts of the razor, but in general, it's mostly these strokes you see right here. And pressure. At this point, I do use pressure on bevel set, and at this point, I'm back to torque and just what you would normally hone on a synthetic. You know, letting the abrasives do the work, and just using, you know, a good contact with the stone, torque, but not pressure. That's the easiest way I know to explain it. I am an equal opportunity honer, so I use 1 or 2 hands, but I do find that I have an easier time reducing pressure to weight of the blade if I can put my other hand on it and just, you know, feel it ride, you know, basically the fluid level barely touching the stone with 2 hands than I do with 1. So as I finish up here, I'm just continuing to light pressure, milk everything I can get out of the stone. You know, I hear people say all the time, maximize your stone. In my mind, you know, my plan, that's what I'm trying to do right here, is just try to get everything I can out of the stone before I move to the next stage and make sure we're ready. You know, so it's all about less pressure and just feel right here, not counting, not worrying about how many laps we do, just feeling that, you know, beautiful feeling of the razor, just barely touching. And that's it, my friends. That's a bevel set. We'll do a little inspection, a little sharpness test, sacrifice us another baby cherry tomato, and move on to whatever is the next stage. I don't know if I'll go cortical or where we'll go. Probably a cortical somewhere involved in the process though. And the edge looks good here. Definitely good to move on. I thank y'all for joining me. This is Eric. This is my channel, Cajun Blade, and we'll see you on the next one.